My name is Ray Chatham. I'm 30 years old, and for most of my life, I learned a very specific survival skill: how to achieve things quietly, without making noise, without celebrating too loudly. Because in my family, success had a way of provoking resentment instead of pride. So when I became a homeowner, I didn't announce it. No social media post, no group chat message, no champagne. I signed the papers, walked out of the bank, sat in my car, and just stared at my hands shaking on the steering wheel. Not from fear, from disbelief. For the first time, something good had happened that I earned entirely on my own. The house came to me in a way that still feels surreal. A close friend's grandfather, a former general contractor who had spent his entire life building and fixing things, was moving to Florida. I'd known him for years. He was the kind of man who valued reliability over charm, effort over excuses. His house wasn't flashy. It was a manufactured home from the early 80s, but it had been remodeled piece by piece over decades. New siding, new roof, updated wiring, a detached garage he'd built himself when his knees still worked. He offered it to me for $200,000. No bidding war, no pressure, just a quiet understanding. "I know you'll take care of it," he said. I had $30,000 saved, scraped together over years of saying no. No trips, no impulse buys, no treat-yourself moments. I practically ran to the bank to apply for the loan. When it was approved, I didn't scream or cry. I just felt this heavy, grounding sense of relief settle into my chest. The house meant safety, stability, space. I wouldn't have to keep my camping gear stored at my parents' place anymore like a teenager who hadn't quite launched. I finally had a garage where I could tinker, store things, and exist without apologizing. What I didn't understand yet was that the house wasn't just a milestone. It was a trigger, especially for my older sister. Her name is Lauren Chatham. She's 32, and growing up, she always needed to be one step ahead of me, or at least appear that way. Lauren has this habit of orbiting my life like it's a blueprint. If I bought something, she bought the same thing. If I got interested in something, she suddenly loved it too. If I made a change, she followed. Not because she wanted it, but because she couldn't stand that I did. For years, I tried to laugh it off. Siblings copy each other, right? But it was never admiration. It was competition. I bought a new TV. She bought a new TV. I upgraded my car. She upgraded hers. I started camping. She suddenly became obsessed with camping, showing up at the same places I went, posting photos like she'd discovered them first. It was exhausting but manageable. A house, though? A house couldn't be copied so easily. Lauren found out through our mother. I didn't even get the chance to tell her myself. The phone rang one evening while I was unpacking boxes in my new living room. I remember the echo in the empty space, how new everything still felt. I answered, and before I could say hello, Lauren exploded. "You did this on purpose." That was it. No congratulations, no curiosity, just accusation. She accused me of trying to make her look bad, of showing off, of buying a house specifically because she couldn't. She went on about her credit, her inconsistent income, how unfair it was that I'd managed to do this before her. I listened, quietly, let her vent. Then I said the truth, calmly, clearly. "I didn't buy a house at you, Lauren. I bought it because I wanted a home." That sentence sent her spiraling. She started listing reasons I should have turned it down, that it wasn't fair, that I should have waited, that I should have thought about family, that I should have talked to her first before making a decision this big. Every excuse sounded different, but they all meant the same thing. If I can't have it, you shouldn't either. She told me I was selfish, that I was abandoning the family, that I was trying to make her feel small. I could practically hear the gears in her head grinding, searching for a way to make my life decision about her. What hurt wasn't the jealousy. It was the assumption, the certainty that my choices required her approval. I told her the house had nothing to do with her, that I wanted security, that I wanted space, that I was tired of shrinking myself to keep other people comfortable. She hung up on me. After that, the tension didn't fade. It fermented. Lauren made passive-aggressive comments at family dinners. Snide remarks about people who think they're better than everyone else. Jokes that weren't jokes at all. Then suddenly she changed. She stopped complaining, stopped arguing, started asking questions. "How many rooms does the house have? Do you really need all that space? What are you doing with the garage?" Her tone was almost pleasant, and that scared me more than the yelling ever had. Lauren has never accepted no gracefully. She just changes tactics. When anger doesn't work, she tries entitlement. When entitlement fails, she tries manipulation. I remember standing alone in my new kitchen one night, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes, feeling proud and deeply uneasy, like I'd crossed some invisible line I wasn't supposed to. I didn't know it yet, but buying that house hadn't just bruised my sister's ego. It had convinced her that she was entitled to what I'd built, and she was already planning how to take it. By the time Lauren called me again, her voice was different. Not angry, not sharp. Almost reasonable. She asked how I was settling in, said the house sounded nice. Even laughed a little when I mentioned still sleeping on a camping cot while waiting for my bed to arrive. The whole conversation felt off, like a storm that had gone quiet, not because it passed, but because it was circling. Then she said it. "So, I was thinking," Lauren began, casual as ever. "You've got extra space now." My stomach tightened. She explained that living out of her camper was getting old. That winter was coming. That she was tired of paying rent to strangers when family had room. She framed it like a favor I could do for both of us, like she was helping me. "I could move in for a bit," she said, "just until I get back on my feet." I laughed. I actually laughed because the idea felt absurd. "No," I said, "that's not happening." The silence on the line was immediate, thick, heavy. Then the mask slipped. Lauren didn't ask why. She demanded explanations. She said I was being dramatic, that I was overreacting, that we were sisters, and sisters helped each other. Then came the number. "I'll rent one of the rooms," she said. $200 a month, utilities included." I thought she was joking. I wasn't laughing anymore when I realized she wasn't. $200 for a room in my house, with utilities included, in a market where even a couch would cost more than that. I told her no, again, more firmly. She lost it. She accused me of being greedy, of forgetting where I came from, of letting money change me. She said she deserved this more than I did, that she was the older sister, that she was supposed to hit milestones first. When I still didn't budge, she did what Lauren always does when she doesn't get her way. She went to our mother. 2 days later, my doorbell rang. I opened the door to see Lauren standing behind our mom, arms crossed, wearing a smug little smile that told me everything. She thought she'd won. Mom didn't waste time. "Why won't you let your sister move in?" she asked, already teary. "You have the space now." Lauren stood behind her like a child hiding behind a shield. I said no, calmly, directly, to both of them. Mom's face crumpled. She accused me of using foul language when I swore, said I was being cruel, that Lauren was living in a camper next to a rundown house full of people she didn't trust. I told her that wasn't my responsibility to fix. Lauren's face went red. Veins stood out in her neck. She looked like she might actually explode. Mom tried again. Tears this time. Guilt, memories, family loyalty. That's when something in me snapped. I told them the truth. That Lauren couldn't buy a house, so she wanted to invade mine. That she'd proven over and over she couldn't be trusted. That I would never live with her again. Not under any circumstances. That I would rather live in the woods with no electricity than share a roof with someone who stole my things, invaded my privacy, and treated my life like a competition. The room went silent. Mom cried harder. Lauren stared at me like I'd slapped her. I called my dad. He answered, listened, and then said something I'd waited my entire life to hear. "I told you she wouldn't do it," he said to Mom. "Leave her alone." Mom deflated, finally conceded, took Lauren by the hand and tried to lead her away. Lauren refused to move. She begged, she pleaded, she demanded. And when that didn't work, she turned on me with pure venom. I told her it was ironic she'd once called me a mama's girl, because now she was exactly that. Just like the time she tried to get Mom to make me trade vehicles with her because she was embarrassed to be driving a minivan. She told me to go to hell. I laughed. She stormed off. And I knew this wasn't over. Lauren didn't speak to me after that. No texts, no calls, no half-hearted apologies disguised as jokes. At first, I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd finally accepted reality. I should have known better. Silence with Lauren was never peace. It was pressure building. I found out what happened a week later from my dad. He called me in the evening, his voice tired in a way I recognized from childhood. The sound he made when he'd been pushed past patience but was still trying to stay fair. "She lost it," he said, completely. Apparently, Lauren had gone back to our parents' house after leaving mine and stayed there for hours. She paced. She ranted. She replayed the scene at my front door again and again, each time rewriting it so she was the victim. According to her, I had betrayed the family. I had forgotten my place. I had let money turn me into someone ugly. And then the truth finally slipped out. "She said you weren't supposed to get the house first," my dad told me. "She said that was supposed to be her life, that you were supposed to be the one struggling. Hearing that didn't hurt the way I expected. It clarified everything. For years, I'd wondered why Lauren reacted so strongly to my independence, why my milestones seemed to enrage her instead of inspire her, why she followed me so obsessively but never felt happy for me. It was never about what she wanted. It was about what she needed me not to be. At my parents' house, Lauren finally said it out loud. She was the older sister. She was supposed to be successful first. I was supposed to stay behind her, quietly, permanently. Dad told me she shouted it through tears, fists clenched, face red. She accused him and Mom of letting me outgrow her, of failing to stop me, of choosing me. That was when Dad snapped. He stood up, walked over to her, and tapped her leg with his cane. Not hard, just enough to get her attention. That's not how life works, he said. Lauren stared at him like she didn't recognize him. He told her that no one owed her a timeline, that being older didn't entitle her to achievements, that jealousy wasn't proof of injustice, it was proof of insecurity. Mom tried to calm things down, tried to soften it. Dad didn't let her. He told Lauren she'd crossed a line, that she was being pointlessly cruel and dangerously obsessed, that if she couldn't cool off and take responsibility for her behavior, she needed to leave. Lauren laughed, actually laughed. She told him they couldn't kick her out. That family didn't work like that she'd done nothing wrong except expect fairness. Dad pointed to the door. Get out, he said, and don't come back until you've figured out why you think tearing your sister down will fix your life. She screamed, she cried, she accused, and then she left, slamming the door so hard the frame shook. When Dad finished telling me all this, there was a long pause on the phone. I'm sorry, he said finally. I should have shut this down years ago. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to cry. Part of me felt strangely calm. Because for the first time, someone else had finally seen what I'd been living with. After that, things got quiet. Lauren cut contact with me completely. Blocked me everywhere. From what I heard, she barely spoke to our parents either. She packed up her camper and left town without telling anyone where she was going. I installed cameras around my house anyway. Inside, outside, a dash cam in my car. Lauren knew about them. I made sure she did. I wasn't afraid of her, but I was done being careless. Mom called me a few days later, voice hesitant. She tried one last angle. Well, she said carefully, what if Lauren didn't live in the house itself? What if she stayed in the garage? There's space in the storage room. I stopped her immediately. No. No explanations, no justifications. Just no. I reminded her, gently but firmly, that Lauren had offered $200 a month and conveniently forgotten to mention that part when she'd cried to Mom about being homeless. Mom went quiet. I think that was when it finally clicked. Not long after, I rented out the spare bedroom to a close friend for $600 a month, utilities not included. Another friend moved into the converted garage space after we remodeled it with plywood and insulation. Both paid on time. Both respected my space. Both treated my house like it wasn't theirs to take. I won't lie, part of me did it out of spite. But mostly, I did it because I was done letting guilt make decisions for me. Lauren never came back. From what I heard through extended family, she told people she'd been forced out, that I'd turned everyone against her, that I'd changed after buying the house. Maybe I had. I had learned something important. Love without boundaries isn't love. It's permission. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't giving Lauren permission to hurt me anymore. The silence that followed Lauren's departure felt unnatural at first. No angry texts, no dramatic voicemails, no third-hand messages delivered through relatives who just wanted to help. For someone who had taken up so much emotional space in my life, Lauren's absence was loud. I didn't celebrate it. I didn't feel victorious. Mostly I felt cautious, like someone who'd just escaped a storm and wasn't sure if it was truly over or simply moving out of sight. I stayed alert. The cameras stayed on. The doors stayed locked. The spare keys stayed exactly where I wanted them. One with a trusted friend, another hidden well enough that even I had to think twice about where it was. People told me I was being dramatic. They hadn't lived my life. Mom called occasionally. She didn't bring Lauren up much anymore, but when she did, it was tentative, like testing ice with the tip of her shoe. She's struggling, Mom said once. I worry about her. I worry about me too, I replied. Not sharply, just honestly. And that was the difference. For the first time, my well-being was part of the equation. Life in the house settled into something that felt almost foreign. Calm. My friend in the spare bedroom paid rent on time every month and asked before borrowing anything. The friend in the garage space treated it like a privilege, not an entitlement. The house stopped feeling like a battleground and started feeling like a home. Sometimes, late at night, I'd sit in the garage and tinker with small projects, music playing softly, the door open to the cool air. I'd think about how much energy I'd spent shrinking myself over the years just to keep the peace, and how little peace that had actually bought me. Dad came by one afternoon not long after everything settled. He walked through the house slowly, nodding at the improvements, smiling in that quiet way he had when he was proud but didn't want to overdo it. "This place suits you," he said. It was a small sentence. It meant everything. He told me Lauren hadn't reached out, that she was still angry, still blaming everyone else. "I hope she figures it out," he said, "but it's not your job to fix her." Hearing that from him felt like a weight lifting, one I hadn't realized I'd been carrying since childhood. Lauren never contacted me again. No apology, no explanation, no closure. And surprisingly, I was okay with that. I learned something through all of this, something I wish I'd understood sooner. Setting boundaries doesn't make you cruel. Protecting your peace doesn't make you selfish. And refusing to sacrifice your stability for someone else's ego doesn't make you heartless. It makes you sane. I still love my sister in the way you love someone from a distance, carefully, with limits, without access to the parts of your life they've proven they can't respect. As for me, I wake up every morning in a house that is mine. I lock the doors when I leave. I trust my instincts now. And for the first time, I don't feel like I owe anyone an explanation for living my own life.